Hey everyone, Ivy Gaming here, and today we're playing Raid Shadow Legends, and I want to do a genuine deep comparison with Belanor as your DPS for your Bat Eater team. Now, I actually came at this with a completely different perspective. I did a couple clan boss runs, and I actually used Rugnor as my DPS in clan boss, and I was like, alright, well, how much better is Belanor than Rugnor really? Because at the end of the day, they're both void, they both place decreased defense a weekend. What's better? So there's one thing that Rugnor has that Belanor doesn't have, and that's Leech. So Leech allows you to proc your Retribution masteries more often because you're always healing and then dropping and then healing and then dropping. So you're constantly proccing Retribution. Belanor doesn't have the Leech, but what he does have is something a bit more special. Straight side-by-side comparison with everyone at the same stats, meaning don't use Belanor's aura and don't change everyone else's crit rate. Everyone just did 100% crit rate, all things the same, with the only thing changing as Belanor and Rugnor. They did almost the exact same damage. I'm not even kidding. This was my Rugnor build, and I did the run with Belanor, and it was literally, let's see, oh wait, right here. Pause. Or not pause. I'm not gonna pause. You guys can, you're not gonna bother, right? Look at this. Like what? So close, right? But here's the thing. Belanor has two special things about him regarding something that affects everybody else. His crit rate aura. He also has a one that increases the crit rate of all allies by 30%. So what can we do here? There's a lot of options. We can actually, this is like super fun for me, and I didn't think I'd have as much fun doing this, honestly. But I was like, all right, fine. I will just test everyone the same. Okay, it's the same. But now let's test everyone at 46% crit rate, because this 24% plus 30%. That gives everyone extra crit rate, right? No. Well, let's take this a step further. Is this enough? Does this happen enough to make it worth it? Does it? Can we really build our people at 46% crit rate? Does this happen enough to make it worth it? I don't know. I was looking at my video, honestly. Let me show you guys. So, oops. Come here, VLC player. So I was looking at my video that I did of my run with Belanor. And they don't always have the crit rate buff up. Sometimes, but not always. So that is worrisome to me. Is it really worth it to build everybody at 46% crit rate with knowing there's going to be a whole lot of crits that don't land? Or are we just better off at taking that aura of 24% and building everyone at 76% crit rate instead? I kind of think that the 46% is going to fall flat because we're going to have lots of misses, but maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. And that's what I want to test right now, guys. I want to dive deep. Let's really test what we can push in a Belanor clan boss comp. We are on the test server. I do need to disclaim that I actually, I have Belanor on my account, but things might be a little bit different because I'm on the test server right now, hence why you see some champions that I don't actually normally have, like Samar, like Helicath. I don't have him yet, but, or maybe I do depending on when this video posts. But yeah, we are on the test server. So as a tier 3 content creator, an official Plarium content creator program, I do have access to the test server for certain periods of time. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to do some builds, but now let's get to it. All right, guys, and there we have it. We have the wonderful high damage total there. 87 million, a very, very easy one key. Ultra Nightmare. Now, again, this is Void, so it's neutral for everyone. The worst affinity is going to be Force with Seeker in mind, but that's not going to be that much different, honestly. It's just going to be a few million less. So you have nothing to worry about for an easy one key Nightmare with this setup. So when I last did this, I had everyone at 100%, and the total was 78 million. Now we went the other way. 87 million with everyone having boosted stats. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you everyone's builds right now so you can see the comparison, and then we're going to rebuild, and I'm going to increase everyone's stats and do the run again. And by increase, I mean decrease and increase, right? Haha. So first off, we have our fast man-eater. He is at 3,400 attack, 270 speed, 78% crit rate, 241% crit damage. Masteries for the man-eater here. It's pretty simple. They're both going to be the same. Now, don't worry, the cycle of violence does not affect Clan Boss, so that's just there in case you use him in other content like Faction Wars. Now we have, actually, Seeker would be the one to go next, so let's show Seeker. Seeker masteries, same. And we have, boom, 4.1k attack, 249 speed, 77% crit rate, 266% crit damage. And yeah, I don't have him in any special set, but you can definitely put Seeker in full Cruel or Savage to get more damage out of him. Also, the man-eaters, if you can get like slow man-eater and fury, you can get even more damage again. But honestly, when it comes down to it, we didn't really need to for sake of this build and for an easy one key Ultra Nightmare. And consistency is key, right? Who cares about doing top damage on a bat eater? I mean, you're not going to get crazy hundreds of million damage. So why don't we just focus on a consistency, right? That's why I love Rugnor and Belanor. So here we go. Slow man-eater is at 240. He's a 3.5k attack with 277% crit damage, so I was able to get a little bit more on him compared to my last stats. So before everything, again, everyone was 100% crit rate with a little less crit damage and attack probably for everyone across the board, but I was able to improve because of Belanor. So Painkeeper isn't a toxic set. Most of my toxic gear has crit rate on it, so I was actually having a hard time trying to change her stats. I actually did not put a crit damage. It's still crit rate here because it honestly doesn't matter as much. Painkeeper doesn't do a lot of sheer damage, so I just tried to get that 100% crit rate, which in this case we only need 76. So I was able to lower it a little bit and give her a little bit more crit damage and a little bit more attack. Now the reason I went attack with Painkeeper is because her A1 is defense and attack based, and her A2 is HP and attack based. But the one thing that's consistent is the attack, right? All right, and we have the man of the hour. Oops, sorry, Painkeeper. Masteries, pretty similar here. I probably should have done this for the other guys for Faction Wars, but honestly, I like this. It's just kind of there, honestly. It's not really helping. Probably could have went this for sake of, actually, we should have went this, honestly, for sake of Faction Wars, but it's fine. It doesn't really matter anyway. Oops, sorry, I went with her again. We went to Belanor. Belanor is our DPS. He is in Relentless gear, which is super important. Make sure he goes as much as possible here. We have 5100, yeah, 5.1k attack, 273% crit damage, and he does need accuracy, of course, to land, decrease defense, and weaken. So we have enough accuracy on him. 220 speed. So what I actually did, of course, guys, we do use the Deadwood Jedi's website. I'll make sure I link that. Let me pull that up really quick here. I'm going to show you guys the Bat Eater. On Deadwood Jedi's website here, we have the Bat Eater, and it has the speed you need for each character. And just make sure you note that there are certain exceptions like Annex and some of the other DPSs that have turn meter adjustments and stuff, like Ninja can be a little bit funky, that they require a little bit different stats for everyone, so make sure you pay attention to that. I don't see the notes for Ninja on here. I feel like they should probably make a note for Ninja on this, but there is separate guides, I believe, for Ninja specifically, so... Yep, Ninja has its own separate thing, so that's good. So what you'll do here, if you want to make sure everything's in tune, you want to go into like Ultra Nightmare, boom, log in, and then you will see the traditional thing we were using before. You guys know Deadwood's wonderful calculator that shows how all the buffs and debuffs are going to land if you want to make sure everything's staying in tune. But you should be fine as long as you stay within these speed ranges. So now's the fun part. Let's get to rebuilding everybody and doing another run. Alright, and we're back with the regearing. So, Maneater number 1, we increased his attack and crit damage yet again and lowered his crit rate to 48%. Crazy. Of course, everything else is the same. Seeker, same thing, increased attack even more and crit damage. Ended up with 51% crit rate. Maneater number 2, we were able to increase some stats here as well, and up to 303% crit damage. Boom, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Belanor, of course, stays the same. He needs to have that 76% crit rate because of his aura. It's only 24, and this, he needs to land a critical in order for this buff to go on all allies, so he has to stay the same. And honestly, based on my limited toxic gear, I didn't worry about changing her stats at all. She stayed the same because I really just didn't have a good combination of putting a crit damage gauntlet on her and swapping out based on the speeds and everything. It wasn't working for me. I'm like, you know what, it's fine. Painkeeper is not a big core of damage here, so besides landing those toxic poison procs there, so it's kind of all right. I don't feel too like we're skewing the damage too much by not decreasing her crit rate and increasing her other stats. So but of course, if you want to min-max and really go crazy, go right ahead. Give that a try. I'm sure you're going to get even more damage. But now it is time to run the actual thing here. But we're going to change the AI first. Alright, so before we do this, the whole point was to see the difference if we actually turn off the A3. Because we want to make sure he's using this as much as possible, because we want to make sure this 30% crit rate buff is on everyone. Or else, well, they might not actually land their crit rates because they're all pretty darn low right now. But everything else is the same. So let's give this a run and we'll see what happens. All right, guys, and there we have it. Looks familiar, doesn't it? It did almost the exact same. So that's a really interesting thought here. So I think the reality when it comes down to this comparison is this is the RNG run, right? If we are relying on his A1 to constantly keep up the crit rates on everybody, we're relying on relentless procs. It's relying on RNG. So I bet that this run in particular could fluctuate quite a bit based on that alone. Now, I think for consistency's sake, I would say to stick to just doing the 76% instead of 46%, but depending on your gear, I don't think it matters either way. You're going to get a 100% one key Ultra Nightmare no matter what the affinity is either way. But if you're having fun and you're trying to push damage, this might have a little bit more damage potential on a good RNG run where Belanor's proccing lots of Relentless and constantly using that A1 a little bit more. Also, if you notice the debuff bar, guys, it was never full, not even close. So if you really want to pump out more damage and try to min-max and have a little bit of fun, go ahead and put one of those man-eaters in a toxic set as well, if you can get some good damage. And then put the best damage on one of the man-eaters as far as toxic goes, and leave Painkeeper in your next best option. And that could actually pump out even more damage. So obviously this comp has plenty of potential, especially in the good affinity for Seeker. I bet on Force, with another toxic set, we'd be looking at high 90 million damage, if not even closer to 100. Like, that's kind of crazy for a Bat Eater, actually. That's really, really good. Like, you would put out so much more damage if we had toxic on someone else, but we don't at the moment. It's again, like I said, my toxic gear isn't the best, so it's mostly crit rate stats. I swear I barely have crit damage gear, so maybe if I get some more crit damage toxic gear, I would try to do Man-Eater in a toxic set as well. But I really want to get that high crit damage. I love having that 300% crit damage on that Man-Eater, that's for sure. But yeah, I think in conclusion, it's super close, right? Having the two versions of this team with Belanor, they're pretty darn close. So either way, end of story. Belanor is a really great champion for your Bat Eater team, for a lot of clan boss teams. Don't forget about him, but also, again, I'm going to throw back to my boy Rugnor, the dwarf epic. He can do the job just as well in the sense of a consistent one key Ultra Nightmare. So there we have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the comparisons. And yeah, feel free to let me know in the comments below if you've had any other fun with Belanor or any other suggestions. Always enjoy seeing people's comments, and I hope that this helps someone maybe utilize a champion that you maybe didn't realize was quite as good as he really is for clan boss. But alright, guys, I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.